Well, five.
Yo, what up, Knicks Nation? Welcome back for another game of the week preview. We are previewing game 4 of the New York Knicks facing the Detroit Pistons out in Detroit, out at Little Caesars Arena. LCA, as the people out there like to call it. All right, and with me today, previewing game 4 is none other than Hunter Patterson. He covers the Detroit Pistons for The Athletic, so make sure to stay locked in, stay tapped in as we're going to go through the whole details of this game. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And make sure to support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV to get up to $1,000 in instant bonus cash and a free pick. Hunter, what's going on, my man? How you feeling?
Feeling great. I am kind of just wrapping up my first season here in Detroit covering the team, and they've exceeded expectations for sure. So it's been a fun team to cover so far.
I'm sure that has been a fun team to cover. As we were talking a little bit backstage, you cover the Kings. You know, your first year covering the Kings, they broke their drought, right? As soon as you cover this team, now you move from Sacramento. You go out to cover the Detroit Pistons. They break their drought. You know, you talk about how they broke it in 17 years over in Sacramento. You talk about how it took 17 years to break the Detroit Pistons. So the number 17, you break a team's droughts. You're just the lucky charm for these teams. Is that what you're telling me?
I would like to think I bring a winning mentality to any media room I step into,
Mm.
or it's just coincidence, bro. I don't know. 17, I don't know what it is with that number, but I've been lucky to cover some good basketball for sure.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. And it's got to be fun covering playoff basketball.
Hmm.
Um, and this I feel like this series has been no disappointment as for an outsider. Now, if you're watching this and you're a Pistons fan, you're a Knicks fan, your heart's in your throat just because you're like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? It feels like it's been a
Hmm.
close game every single night. Where even though the final score isn't within 2 points, it feels like it's always within 2 points of either team ready to take the lead and just win. It just needs to win by two every single
Hmm.
night. Um, and since that was last night's game, and we see the Knicks edge out a victory against the Pistons in game 3 to take a 2-1 lead on the series, what did you see from the Knicks that, they haven't done in the other games to win last night? And did you see anything different from the prior matchups?
I think right away it was pretty clear they were making a concerted effort to get Karl Anthony Towns some looks and get him into the flow of his game. I want to say he hit a couple threes right off the bat to start the game, and then that kind of seemed like it leveled him out, made him more comfortable, and it made him want to. It looked like be more assertive offensively throughout the rest of the game, and from there he was just kind of able to mix it up. He hit the threes. That at that point you're kind of extending the Pistons defense a little bit. He Tobias Harris ended up getting in foul trouble, and since Isaiah Stewart has been sidelined, Tobias was kind of the guy who I think the Pistons felt most comfortable with guarding Cat, and he ended up having foul trouble. They didn't really have an answer for him, and I think Brunson did a good job of kind of getting everyone else going throughout the game. And then once the fourth quarter came around, he ended up doing what he's done all season.
For sure. And, having Karl Anthony Towns out there finally knocking down some threes against the Detroit Pistons, even during the regular season when he was available, he wasn't knocking down many threes.
Hmm.
He was so vital in stretching out the defense and being able to like cause that mismatch for Detroit, opening up the lanes for
Right.
guys like Brunson to really attack. And then, as you mentioned, you have Jalen Brunson. I especially thought he was critical in that third quarter where just slowing the game down, getting to the free throw line where they
Hmm.
didn't like, they kind of went from spacing the floor with Karl Anthony Towns. They just kind of got disjointed. And you needed somebody to just, slow everything down because the Pistons were certainly, rallying back as they've been doing every single night. These two teams have
Right.
been playing. And so I thought Brunson was very critical with getting to the free throw line as well as just finding guys who were open. I agree with that was like some big things, especially Karl Anthony Towns. And I feel like in this series, if Cats could be knocking down threes at such a high clip, I feel like that's going to be, you know, I feel like that's going to be a disadvantage for the Pistons having a guard, you know, anybody that's knocking down threes, especially a stretch five at that rate.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think it also makes it more challenging for the Pistons when you have him in pick and roll situations with Brunson when he's either, I mean, it's up to him. He's able to roll to the basket, or if he has it rolling like he did yesterday, he's able to just pick and pop. And especially when you get Duran in positions where he's defending the perimeter. He's not as comfortable. He's more comfortable closer to the basket. So, yeah, I thought the Knicks did a good job of kind of mixing it up and making the Pistons play in areas they were a little uncomfortable defensively with Cat.
For sure. And from a Pistons standpoint in yesterday's game, was there anything that you saw that the Pistons did differently in their approach, or was it just the fact that Karl Anthony Towns got going?
I thought he kind of just got going. I think they Tobias, he ended up having that foul trouble, and it didn't allow him to get comfortable offensively. I think, stunted his flow a little bit offensively as well, since he was in and out of the game a little bit. Um, but I don't think there were any huge adjustments that the Pistons made or anything that they did that allowed the Knicks to take advantage of. So I think we're kind of at the point in the series. I think the teams know each other well enough. It's kind of your best against my best, and we'll see who's better.
For sure. And when I think about, I think it is, yes, to that extent where they're going to stay true to what they're doing. Knicks had to
Hmm.
make the adjustment of just making sure their offense was more connected than it was in game two. I guess like my thing then, it's like if you're going to stick to this approach, do you need more from Cade Cunningham in order to keep moving this thing along? And like yesterday, yes, he had over 20 plus points. Game two, where they won, he had over 30 points. Are you going to need 30 plus point performances from Cade to take it to that next step?
I think they probably will. He's been someone, obviously he's hovered around like 25 to 30 this season, but I think the way he scores is going to have to be pretty important. Like if you're getting 25 on 25 shots, it's usually, I mean, it's obviously not efficient. So I think the more efficient he is, the better, obviously. And um, it's gonna have to be a secondary option. We saw game one, it was Tobias. Last night it was Tim Hardaway. Dennis Schroeder was really big in game two. And I think the same way Brunson was kind of able to go throughout the game while he was getting his teammates more involved, and then he was in the second half and in the crucial moments able to take the wheel as the scorer. I think the same thing is going to have to be necessary for Cade. Obviously, he doesn't have the offensive firepower. The Knicks are stacked offensively, um, but for Cade, it's about not, I think, having so much pressure to create offensively. If there are options where Dennis is able to create offense and Cade is coming off ball actions, I think that can make life easier for Cade as well. So they have options to tinker with, but I think Cade, the biggest thing for him is just efficiency.
Efficiency for sure. And I guess like when I'm watching Cade, because like I think he's still a pretty efficient player, even with after game one. Like, yes, he didn't have the efficiency maybe to the degree that he's been used to do, throughout the regular season, I should say. But like he has been pretty efficient though these last two games. But who's that role player if you had to choose one that really needs to be that guy that has to be consistent on a night to night basis? Is it Tobias? Is it Timmy? Is it Malik Beasley? Because Beasley wasn't knocking down threes, and this guy was like, up there with six man of the year. I know
Hmm.
Peyton Pritchard won, but Beasley was just right there. Who is that guy that really has to step up and be that consistent second scorer for this team?
I would say Beasley. He averaged around 16 or 17 in the regular season. He was someone who, at one point, I think, especially in Little Caesars Arena, if he caught the ball and was able to get the shot off, most people in the arena felt like he had a good chance of making it at one point. Um, and there was just a certain confidence I think Pistons fans had when he got the ball. And as I mentioned, we've seen there's been a secondary scorer step up in each game, and it hasn't really been Malik so far. He's shooting
Mhm.
30% from the field throughout the series. I think he's 9 for 30, and that isn't going to cut it when he was the one relied upon for that scoring punch for a good chunk of the season, especially when Jaden Ivey went down. So I think the Pistons would be in a better place this series if Malik had played closer to the way he played in the regular season, because there have been moments from a bunch of other supporting cast guys on this Pistons team.
Salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another game of the week preview. With me on the other side is Hunter Patterson. He covers the Detroit Pistons for The Athletic. Make sure to stay locked and make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Shout out to all of our franchise channel members in here. We got Augie2628. Shout out to you for being a franchise channel member. We got Mr. Don's back in the house. Shout out to you, my guy. We got Courtney J. Shout out to you, Courtney J. Who else we got in here? I see we got John Talento, another regular. We got Zach in LA in here. We got I'm watching. I know he's always watching, man. That's only not only your name, but you're always watching KFTV. We always appreciate the support. We got Joe P in the house. All right, and we got Fabian as well. Shout out to all you guys. We got Wise Guy too. Shout out to all you guys tuning in on a Friday night. Tuning in on Friday night while we got playoff basketball going, watching KFTV, getting this game of the week preview in, getting ready for game 4. Shout out to all you. All right. All right, Hunter. So what what do you expect for the Pistons to do in game 4? Is it just like at this, like I know it's like you got to go out there, play physical, play the same brand of basketball that you always do, but you always come back and you make these minor tweaks. And you know, now that Cat is willing to shoot threes, even with Tobias Harris on him, right? And that's been like the whole big discussion how you put a wing on Karl Anthony Towns, it kind of makes him think twice whether or not he wants to shoot the three or drive. You know, is that like I'm still expecting Tobias Harris to go get a bulk of the, you know, I guess opportunities to guard Cat. But
Mhm.
what other changes should we be expecting from Detroit?
I think it has a lot to do with whether Isaiah Stewart ends up playing. He ended up sitting out with left knee inflammation, and obviously he in the regular season was the best option guarding Cat for this Pistons team. He was the one off the bench anytime Duran was getting a rest, and at one point he almost was splitting minutes in order to guard Cat. So it will be, I'll say, dependent a bit on Isaiah Stewart, but even then, I mean, he's missed a couple of games. It's playoff basketball. The win that you uh, lose, even missing one game, is so crucial that I think it's not just going to be as easy as, oh, hey, suit up and go guard a Cat who's as confident as he's been in this series. So um, there's that, and then I also think um, just prioritizing not like picking up silly fouls. There's been a couple times, I guess, Asar like in the backcourt, he's um, been a little overzealous maybe, and his job is to pick up 94 feet. And um, so sometimes you might have an urge to want to reach when, especially you are as talented defensively as Asar is. He's usually able to get those steals and things like that. So I think um, just cleaning up the defense and being more disciplined to not reach or pick up just ticky tack fouls that can take you from having 3 to 5, and then now you're on the bench in the game's closing minutes because you don't want to pick up that last foul.
That's funny when you talk about ticky tack fouls because I know the Knicks can certainly be in that category, especially when you got Karl Anthony Towns who's known to being foul prone. Sometimes
Mhm.
Josh Hart, as we know, he can get a little rambunctious, a little jacked up, man. Like he wants to be a little bit more physical. So next thing
All right.
he gets a little aggravated, a little aggy out there. But I think that goes same thing for the Knicks too, man. I think the discipline level for both these teams are very critical and I'm going to talk about this just because, from my perspective, watching this team, seeing the offensive talent, right? It's like I feel like there's another gear to this team, but because of the lack of attention to detail at times, it feels like we haven't fully seen the Knicks get to that high level as we saw throughout the season offensively where guys are just cutting left and right. Passes are being made by Cat at the high post. Jalen Brunson's dropping off some of these cool dimes, and that the lanes are just wide open and that the offense is really humming. Now, the offense did its thing yesterday. I mean,
Mhm.
four of the five stars did score over 20 plus points. So I can't be
Yeah.
like, hey man, it's all bad over here. I'm not saying that, but it could look a little bit more crisp than it has been. And so I guess where I'm leading to with this is that when I watch the Knicks, I always feel like there's another level. And because they're not executing at that efficient rate, I feel like there's still a bit more like they're still up 2-1, but I feel like there's always a little bit more. And so for the Pistons, do you think they're doing as much as they can, or is there even another level for them to reach?
I definitely do. I think offensively they have looked stagnant at times because it is so reliant on Cade a lot of times. But I think the more they explore with having Dennis, well, however, whoever you want to call the point guard in that situation, whether it's Dennis or Cade, when they're both in the backcourt, I think it allows JB Bickerstaff to explore more with the sets that they run. And if you have Tim Hardaway Jr. at the three, well, essentially, if you just surround those two with shooting, whether you have any combination of Tim Hardaway, Tobias Harris, um, uh, Malik Beasley, any combination of those uh, guys out there with those two and Dennis and Cade, it really helps. I would say the spacing on the floor and just gives them more opportunity to be creative offensively. But I think Cade should look to take advantage in the post as well. I think OG has been his primary defender, so he hasn't really had a ton of opportunities to post up since OG is one of the elites of the elite uh, as far as the defenders go. So yeah, I would try to operate out of the post as much as Cade can, draw
Hmm.
doubles, and then try to kick the ball out or score even when he does draw two.
That would require like a lot of switching, I feel like, then to get OG off and find that right matchup. So, you know, I would guess that they're looking for either Brunson, maybe Hart. I did see Hart guard Cade a good amount in that
Mhm.
second matchup. It was okay. It was a mixed bag in my opinion. Um, Obvious for me, I would want OG on Cade just because of the
Yeah.
physicality, the strength, the wingspan. He offers all that. Bridges did a solid job guarding Cade too at times yesterday as well. But I feel like to get what you're asking for, that would be a lot of switching, a little bit more involvement
Hmm.
there. And when I watch the Pistons, I see just like that Duran and Cade pick and roll is just dynamic. I mean, what was it? They
Yeah.
led the league in alley oops, right? And in dunks, right? I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken there.
I believe so. Those two, they just have a ton of chemistry. And then depending on how it goes, like with who steps up, you can kind of create advantages on the backside with um just mismatches and things. So those two I would say are really comfortable in pick and roll situations. But just with how active the Knicks are defensively with hands and passing lanes and things, that also is an area where turnovers can be created for Cade, and he's averaged about he was top five in turnovers per game this year, although he was in assists as well. So that would be the only area where I feel like he could possibly try to create a bit too much, or
Hmm.
the Knicks would just pressure him into some of those careless turnovers, possibly.
Do you think the Pistons should run a little bit more small ball? Because I feel like they've had some success running small ball against the Knicks just because of the speed, the athleticism that they have out there, and then also just matching that like that spread ideology or mentality that the New York Knicks have.
It's really dependent on just staying out of foul trouble because if Tobias can kind of play that small ball five and you have a Sar at the four, you're able Tim at the three, maybe something like that. You're able to get out in transition, and that is when the Pistons are best when they're able to essentially create offense from their defense, force turnovers, get out in transition, where they were one of the best teams in fast break points they seem to just be really comfortable there. So as much as they can get out in transition, the better for them. And I think one of the ways to do that, like you said, is to play small ball with Tobias kind of at that five.
Mm. And that's kind of like where I see the Pistons make those runs, and I'm like, and that's been the Knicks, weakness is that if you have to get out in transition, if they have to go, if they have to get out in transition and compete with a young athletic team, and seeing that throughout the entire regular season, they do have their struggles with that types of matchup. So that's where I'm like, it's interesting that they don't really. I feel like they go to it a good amount, but next thing I know, Duran is back in there. I know matchup number one, you had Isaiah Stewart, and then they went back to that. It's just interesting how the ebbs and flows of like what rotations they go with, and I've seen enough success with that. Obviously, you get Tobias Harris in foul trouble, so you couldn't really utilize that, and so that changes your entire game plan. I'm just wondering if the Pistons rely on that and have more of a, effort type thing, a family show, as we say around here, because we don't swear on the show.
Yeah.
So a family show mentality, man. If they want to go out
Right.
there and start be a little, just want to start gambling and do it, and just attack in that manner. Um, Man, I'm looking forward to this game tomorrow. I'm looking forward to this
Hmm.
game tomorrow. I think it's going to be another intense physical battle. Have you felt that this has been a good physical matchup this through and through?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty good. I would say there's a healthy disdain between these teams. I don't think anyone
They don't
is.
like each other. I don't.
Yeah,
I think healthy is being nice about it. But when I start seeing chirping between Brunson and Duran, when I see Chap,
yeah.
Schroeder getting there, and then you got campaign and game. It's like there's. I think it's getting. It's like is it healthy? Yeah, I think it adds to like the entertainment value where it's like, all right, these
Mhm.
guys clearly don't like each other. These guys clearly got both have something to prove. Knicks like, yes, 151 games this season. The fan base is like, all right, man, can you show us a little bit more? Because we're still waiting for you guys to beat that good team. And then the Pistons are like, all right,
Mhm.
man, we here. We did the damn thing. We're not just happy to be here. We're ready to make some noise. So I like that both of these teams feel like they have to prove something, man.
Yeah,
That's where the tenacity is coming from.
right. And I think like I would say healthy in terms of like between the players. Like I don't think it's any situation where uh if anyone sees anyone at All Star Weekend, it's like, oh man, like you, I just really got beef with you. And I think it's more just like they're all really competitive, obviously, as like all high athletes are, or high level athletes are. And I think the fan bases, I personally love it as far as just two passionate fan bases. Like you said, one is coming off of um just two elite seasons. They're looking to kind of make that next step. The Pistons over they just exceeded expectations, and now they're kind of meeting, and the fan bases are clashing and everything, and it's just a fun time. I think for just playoffs basketball means something for both teams, both cities, and I think both cities have really rich history in basketball and sports in general. So it's fun for me to be a part of and cover.
For sure, man. Absolutely. I can imagine from your perspective being in the locker room and what it is going on in Detroit and just being able to cover the team from a more intimate perspective. And I'm going to ask you that in a second. But first, I got to do another reset. So salute to Nick Station. Thank you for tuning in for another game of the week preview. With me on the other side is Hunter Patterson. He covers the Detroit Pistons for the Athletics. So make sure to give him a follow. Make sure to go check him out. Make sure that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Make sure to support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV to get up to $1,000 in instant bonus cash. And look, people, let me tell you something about Underdog Fantasy. I like playing it. I think it's a lot of fun. As I always say, I like to think I know more than what Underdog is trying to tell me out there, man. I think I know what's going to happen in the game. All right. So when it comes to playing Underdog, there's two options. You could do your daily fantasy drafts, or you can create a ticket. So if you're creating a ticket, all you gotta do is just choose a minimum of two to maximum eight players. And all you gotta do if you're choosing strictly NBA, both of them gotta be from two different teams. If you don't want to just stick with the NBA, You can go back, mix and match for between MLB, NBA, NHL. I mean, we got so many sports going on right now. That's the cool thing about Underdog. You can make a ticket that matches to whatever you're into, and so you think you can get the greatest odds. And the cool thing about it is that all you got to do is just choose higher or lower on any stat given. So let's say for tomorrow, Jalen Brunson has, I don't know, let's say that the let's say that it's set at 26 and a half points. All right. All you got to just choose if you think Brunson's going to get higher than 26 and a half points or less than 20 or lower than 26 and a half points. I'm going to go with higher because he's been doing the damn thing this postseason. So that's all you got to do. And then on the other side, if you want to do the daily fantasy, go put your GM cap, go invite your friends, go join with a bunch of randos, put some beer money down, go win some cash and go have some fun, man. It's a lot of fun. As I say, CP, JD, myself, the Knicks chick, CK2K, like we all like to put in a little money, compete, see who can get the better teams. CP, we gotta start these things back up though. You know what I mean? It's been too long. All right. I know we all out there just worrying that I'm gonna take everyone's money, but it's okay, man. We can get back to it, okay? And so make sure to sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV to get to $1,000 in instant bonus cash and a free pick. And right now, there is a special, okay, people? If you sign up for Underdog right now, you gotta sign up and put down a deposit, okay? First timers, all new signups who sign up and make a deposit will qualify to potentially win free ticket to game 5. All right. So make sure that you go and sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Once again, use that promo code KFTV. You also get up to $1,000 in instant bonus cash and a free pick and the potential to win a free ticket for game 5. Who doesn't want to go see the Knicks and Pistons in game 5 at Madison Square Garden? Come on, baby. You already know what it is. All right, man, let's get back to this. All right, Hunter, let's get through a few more topics and wrap this show up. So, what is the feeling amongst the Pistons right now? Right before I had to do the read, you were talking about how you enjoy covering the team and the different perspectives you get for this team. What has it been like? What is the status of the Pistons right now after the loss in Game 3?
Post game, the biggest thing that stuck out to me last night was JB Bickerstaff. One of the questions he got asked was just with the last minute and the reviews that they had to do, the calls that were made and everything, was it a deflating loss? And it was one of the ones where like the question was asked early and the person who asked the question kind of continued on with the question, but we knew what the question was early on. And you could see JB in his face. He wanted to answer so bad, but he wasn't going to cut anyone off or anything like that. And he was like, we won't be deflated. Like we've got a group of guys that more or less care too much about each other to be concerned with being deflated or anything other than ready to fight like heck. This is a family friendly show. He said they were going to fight like heck on Sunday, and it was consistent. It could have kind of sounded like coach speak if you hear it from JB first, and you're like, okay, the politically correct answer, but then you hear from Tim Hardaway, who's like, we're not even dwelling on this game. It starts now to kind of prepare for game 4 and shift our mentality. We spoke with Cade and we asked him kind of his thoughts on the last few possessions. His biggest takeaway is none of that really mattered. We did things throughout the game that we could have corrected and not put ourselves in that situation. We talked to Asar in the locker room. He always has a really calm demeanor in whatever the situation is. And he was consistent with their message as well, saying that their confidence is still at an all-time high. It's not shaken by how the series has gone so far. And I think that they genuinely believe that they have what it takes to win the series. So even after last night, I was kind of expecting them to maybe be a little frustrated or hard on themselves. And I think maybe that does come with the inexperience that they have in the fact that the team is generally 22 to 23 years old. I don't think these guys dwell on too much. They seem to close the door on a loss or a win, whatever it was, and be ready for the next one. And it was consistent throughout the season where they would have big wins and the message would be consistent in saying we haven't done anything yet. So I
So would
think
you
they believe it.
So would you say that, and I hear you on the fact that, they do care. They're like brothers in the locker room. They care for one another. They're willing to go out there and fight for one another. Would you also say that there's a little bit of a sense of like, yo, we're playing with house money. We're true underdogs in this. Like no one even expected us to be here. As long as we go out there and compete, like why do we need to be down about ourselves? This is like year one in the building block for this team. Let's just go out there and do our best. Do you think that's also part of it too?
Somewhat, but I would say they've combated complacency pretty well all season because each chance they've had, and you can tell sometimes when questions are asked where the story may be going for the person who asked that question, and they don't really feed into it. And it's
Mm,
like, well, we won 8 games in a row, 8 games in a row for the first time in a decent chunk of time, but that to us isn't really our end goal. They've been outspoken about wanting to build a championship team, and I don't think they're satisfied with winning one playoff game, winning the first round series necessarily. And their timeline has been expedited a bit because I don't think anyone necessarily expected them to be competing with the 3 seed in the first round. But now that they're here, I think they're not necessarily looking at it as house money. They're like, let's do something. We can't just like waste away an opportunity because we're happy to be here.
that's kind of, you know, it's interesting because I felt like that was like the same when the Knicks made it when they first played the Hawks, and even,
Hmm.
you know, and not necessarily that they're happy to be here when they got JB on the team for the first time and they played the Cavs. It's like it was it's not because we already saw them make the postseason, right? And it's like, all
Hmm.
right, how do you build on what you did 2 years ago after having a down season? And for them, it's like we got to go out there and prove ourselves that we actually belong here and that this isn't just some like frivolous feel good story, which you could even say that's kind of what actually ended up happening to the Atlanta Hawks, right? Trey Young and
Hmm.
that crew goes to the ECF, you know, they lose to the Milwaukee Bucks. Now they're just a regular playing team. And I think from what you're telling me, Detroit wants to be more than that, and they're looking to make that mark this year. And even when I look at it, it's like they're doing a good job right now where it's something to build off of. And obviously, like the season's not over, but I think there's just a lot there for good building blocks. JB's done a hell of a job coaching these guys to be gritty and fighting on a night to night basis. Kind of gives me a little bit of vibes of like Tom Thibodeau, man, of what they're
Right.
doing over here in New York. And so I like it, man. I respect it. I respect it a lot. And, when I look at this team and I look at the Pistons and after you tell me like what their mentality is right now going to game 4, it's just, I just see it too. Like I just see a team that's willing to go out there and go grind, and that's why these games are so close every single night. Um,
Right.
and so with that in mind, what's been more impressive to you? And this may seem like a mean question, all right, but
Mhm.
I want to get your thought on it. What's more impressive, how the Knicks have closed these games or how the Pistons have competed?
It's a good question. Probably how the Pistons have competed, given the fact that the well, for one, they won 14 games last year, so just that
Hmm.
14 games to being tripling your win total, being in the first round, that is something. But I think just to watch them compete against a team that has, I mean, to me, we can throw OG in the All Star category. He's one of the guys who's just, to me, I look at him on the floor and I don't know if he's dubbed internally as the Knicks' best player, but I watch him sometimes and I'm like, man, this is possibly the most talented person on this team. And just with the group of guys that they have, um, it's just I lost my train of thought here a little bit, but
It's all good.
yeah, I've lost my train of thought here. I'm the
So are
playoffs
you?
are hitting me too.
It's all good, man. It's
All
all
right,
good.
here we
So
go.
so it's like so just a refresher. Is it more impressive how the Knicks have
There
closed
we
or
go.
how the Pistons have competed?
Yes. So to see the Pistons compete with the team that is as competitive as the Knicks are, I think we mentioned back-to-back 51 seasons now for the Knicks. Um, I just wouldn't have in the beginning of the season expected the Pistons to be in each of these three games, 21-0 run away from the series looking different potentially. And it's been I would say more impressive for me to see them compete that way. Because to some degree I think people expect the Knicks to close the way they do, and I'm not sure if people were expecting the Pistons to compete this way.
Yeah, and when I look at this series and when I take like the pulse of the fan base, which is all over the place before entering the
Mhm.
series, for Knicks fans, I'm talking about. It's like, oh my God, we're about to lose to the Pistons. This team's not, as I would not say it, but other fans have said soft. I wouldn't use this team. I wouldn't call this team soft.
Yeah,
More certainly more of a finesse team, but I wouldn't call this team soft.
right.
Another thing that people would say is like, oh, we're gonna sweep the Pistons in five. I'm like, I'm not that bullish. This team is pretty tough. They played us pretty tough throughout the regular season. I think it's going to go. I have the Knicks winning in six.
Mhm.
But and for me, it's more so because of the experience that the Knicks have, like the starting five as like a playoff collective,
Right.
plus just like the offensive talent. I think when you're looking for somebody else to chip in, as we've already discussed, it's going to be harder for the Pistons to find a consistent second option. Whereas if this is going to be the cat that we have on a night to night basis, and then you tell me we're going to get 20 from OG and Bridges, then that's just amazing. And then whatever Hart chips in, being that, solid glue role player, if we get
Mhm.
something out of our bench, then that's just taking us to new heights. And we're still waiting for the bench. Miles McBride, I'm talking to you, man. All right. Get out of your cold streak, man. Get back activated. We need you right now. So that's where I'm like, that's kind of how I think Knicks fans are when they came into this, and just working it back to the question I asked you is that I think Knicks fans, if you talk to the fan base, some would be like, "See, this is why it's so close because we're soft." Others would be like, "See, this is why I'm not afraid because we're capable to close this game." And I think it's
Mhm.
over the place for how the Knicks feel. Me, I think it's like I believe, and not to sound arrogant, but I just believe with the amount of talent that you invested in, like they
Mhm.
should be able to do this. I mean, we're trying to compete with Boston, so it's like
Right.
okay, I'm expecting this team to have like a little bit like more of a more of an established execution like more being able to execute at a higher
Mhm.
level just for like what you've already invested in this team. Whereas Detroit, I would probably say that in this matchup, I'd probably lean towards saying I'm actually impressed with how the Pistons competed. Actually, part of me also thinks that the Knicks, as I said at the beginning of the show, have not reached their full potential and like how they should be playing in the
Mhm.
postseason. And that's where I'm like, I'd probably lean the edge of like, yeah, I give like the Pistons a lot of credit because they're taking advantage of whatever mistakes the Knicks are making, being very opportunistic in their offense. Like Pistons have really impressed me, and because a lot of people will look at like the regular season and say, hey, this doesn't really mean much. Wait until the postseason, and if anything, even though the Knicks are up 2-1, it showed me that during the regular season, the Pistons were going to play the Knicks tough during the postseason.
Mhm. Yeah, I think these two teams, it was lined up to be a pretty physical back and forth series, and I think I wouldn't fault any Knicks fans for kind of entering the series thinking that way because the Knicks have been here before for the last few years. They have a more established team. You mentioned this was a team constructed to be competing against the Celtics, so I completely understand that mindset coming in for Knicks fans.
Hey, man. Some of us can be bad, brash, bullish. That's it's just kind. It's kind of the mantra when you're out in the tri-state area or New York, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna encompass the tri-state area just because I know people in New Jersey and Connecticut are like, hey, man, what's happening? What's happening to us, man? Just include us. We all root for the orange and blue. All right,
yeah. It's been fun too, just kind of in my interactions too with Knicks fans and stuff.
on
Um,
social.
yeah, yeah, just because I'm this is my first season covering the Pistons, so I'm not really like I'm still learning and becoming um just ingrained in what Detroit fans and Pistons fans are passionate about what they like, dislike, things like that. So I'm still kind of like ingraining myself with the Pistons history, and then to have like the passion from the Knicks fans and everything is it's been fun.
I got to ask you though, that we're at the end of the show and just got a few more questions for you,
Hmm.
just like personally. Now you went from the Kings to the Pistons. Is there been, and you don't have to, you may not answer this fully, but do you see the intensity, like a different intensity amongst the fan base going from Sacktown to Detroit?
They're both really passionate fan bases, and I think I came in at times where they were both super eager to be competitive again. And so when they were finally good again, that first playoff game at Golden One, it reminded me of Oracle. That was my home arena growing up in
Mhm.
Oakland. So it that was the point of reference for me is like if you can reach the intensity that Oracle has like that, this is a good energy at the game. And it reminded me of that at
Mm.
Golden One, reminded me of that last night at Little Caesars Arena. And these are just two passionate fan bases that I wasn't quite aware of how passionate they were until I started covering the team. Um, I have a really odd fandom. I'm from the Bay Area, but I grew up loving D Wade, so I'm a Heat fan. And
Mm.
um, so yeah, I have never really been attached to any of the teams that I've like been around or covering or anything. And now I'm able to kind of learn without having any like dog in the race, I guess, like or horse, however, dog in the fight, horse in the race, however you want to say it. Like I'm learning these things just from like a pretty organic point of view, and it's been fun that way.
My God, you had to mention that you're a Miami Heat fan on a Knicks
I figure
channel.
that.
What?
Yeah, I know.
That's
Wrong
tough.
thing to
That's tough
do.
work, man. That is tough
I
work. Woo!
know.
That is tough work. And you had the chance to root for the Golden State Warriors. You had the chance to watch
I know,
Baron
man.
Davis, man, out there. You know the Weeble
That
Weeb Warriors. And you had
that's
the
my
chance to
favorite
watch.
era.
I mean, that's
That's my
fun, man.
favorite Warriors era.
Come on, man. Boom
Obviously,
dizzle.
yeah, obviously Steph and everything that they've done has been cool. But for me, my golden era as growing up in the Bay Area is watching Monte, Baron Davis, watching them beat that Mavs team, and then the dunk that Baron Davis had on Andre Kirilenko. Like those are my like core memories growing up in the Bay.
There you go, man. There you go.
Yeah.
Hunter, I appreciate you coming through, man. Please let the listeners know where they can find you if you got any work up and coming we should be on the lookout for.
Yeah, it's just Hunt Patterson underscore on social media, Twitter and Instagram. I'm essentially working on stuff constantly, which is why I'm losing my train of thought talking to you. But
It's all
it's just
good, man.
daily. Yeah, it's daily at this point. Whatever is going on that day in the playoffs, obviously writing off each game, off day stories, things like that. So I'm at the Athletic and then I'm on Twitter, Instagram. Feel free to reach out.
Appreciate you once again for coming through, Hunter. Make sure to go give Hunter a follow on socials. Make sure to go check out his work on The Athletic. He does a great job covering the Pistons. As you've heard, he's been covering the league for a minute now, so make sure to go give him a follow. I know Knicks Nation, obviously, they're big Hoops fans. They'll listen to anything about any NBA team. And I know we got Pistons fans in here too. All right. I know you're all quiet right now. You were all in here heavy not too long ago, talking that good talk, but now you're all quiet in the chat. All right. Y'all don't want to show yourselves, but I see these numbers, man. I see these numbers. We can go into the records to see where people are tuning in from, what state, what area, man. We all know what you're doing. All right. You can't hide from us. But shout out to Hunter for coming through once again. Make sure to go follow his work. He's over at The Athletic. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Make sure to support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV to get up to $1,000 in instant bonus cash and a free pick. And remember, people, if you sign up, if you're a new sign up and you make a deposit, you have to do both those things. You have to sign up and make a deposit. You will enter the chance to win a ticket to go to game 5. So make sure to go do that. And when you do sign up, use that promo code KFT once again. So that way you can potentially get up to $1,000 in instant bonus cash and a free pick. And also, do not forget, we got a watch party on Sunday. All right. I see you. Who was it telling me? Look, man, I misspoke. New York to Arizona. Look, I know you in the chat. Shout out to you. NY to AZ. I know I said the game tomorrow. Look, man, like Hunter, man, I'm losing my train of thought, man. I'm thinking today's Saturday.
Yeah,
It's
it's
all
late.
good.
It's
Look,
late.
man, we've been covering the game like too much, man. Look, we're watching, we're covering, we're doing things, we're doing shows, we're all doing a lot, man. Relax. All right. It's an honest mistake. But make sure for Sunday now, right before the game, 12 p.m., go to the Amesworth. We are once again doing a watch party. Go to the Amesworth on Sunday. Doors open at 12 p.m. All right. Go hang out with the orange and blue faithful. Go root for the team. As CP has been telling you, look, it gets wild in there. It's like you're at Madison Square Garden. I mean, you get a defense chance as you're watching on a big screen TV. You can't get anything like that nowhere else. All right. So make sure to go check out the Ainsworth, 12 p.m. on Sunday to go watch the Knicks face the Detroit Pistons. All right, everybody. You already know what it is. All right. So if you can't catch the show live, make sure you go to any audio listening platform on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. We're also be part of the replay game. Watch again on YouTube, and also make sure to sign up for the newsletter. We got merch dropping. I'll give you the links right there. You get great articles. We got content for days. So make sure to go support Knicks Fan TV in all aspects as possible. All right, everyone. We'll catch you later for post game and play by play this Sunday. We out.